Charles, when we talk about sovereignty, what does it actually look like in everyday, in everyday life, at work, at home, in
Mm.
close relationships, with money, for example? What does sovereignty actually feel like?
Yeah, wow. So that's a very personal question because I really believe that sovereignty probably looks differently for each of us. I will tell you that my sovereignty is the outcome and the result of my pursuit of identity and purpose and authenticity. So when I finally discovered who I was as a man, as a person, even not even not even gender specific, just as a human being, who am I? What matters to me? And I started making decisions that were in alignment with that identity and with those values and with those needs, and just started creating a life centered around those and my authentic self. That created sovereignty because I
Hmm.
was no longer at the mercy of a bunch of external influences of, oh, look at this, and this is important, and you should do this, and you shouldn't do that, and you should have this, and you shouldn't have that, and this is okay, and this isn't okay. The noise never stops unless it's an inside out equation. So, sovereignty for me, personally, professionally, financially, is really about me having a clear mind and a clear set of values that help me make decisions for myself.
Hmm. Are there any simple daily practices or exercises that can help me clarify my values, set healthy boundaries, and start living a little bit more like what you said, from the inside out?
Yeah. Every client I work with, we all start with the same simple exercises. And that is a values, needs exercise, which is, listen, I make the joke about Wheel of Fortune, and I think we got in trouble on YouTube for referencing Wheel of Fortune before. But everybody kind of has those shared values that are kind of defined by the society and the community that you live in. Oh, we're going to be honest and we're going to be kind and we're going to be these things. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. That's the cost of doing business. But if you really work with a facilitator that can help you dig deeper into what really matters to you, then you come up with an actual set of core values that are unique to you. And so that's where all the work starts is again, knowing exactly who you are and what really matters to you, independent of any external influence. That's the starting point for every bit of this. Every transformation I've made for myself and my clients has always been, okay, let's mute the noise for a minute and let's get very, very real about what matters to you and what's important to you. And the beautiful thing about that exercise is, even if you consider yourself a nice guy and you just kind of want to go along and go with the flow, or you're trying to climb the mountain and kill everything and own everything and dominate everything, there's no wrong answers in a values exercise. There's a couple little traps in there that's why a facilitator is really helpful. But truthfully, there's no wrong answers when you're trying to discover who you are as a person.
Let's say that I take that values exercise with you and I go deep into really figuring out who I am and what is important to me. What happens if I hit setbacks or if I slip into old patterns or old behaviors of how I used to do things? How do you
Mhm.
recommend I respond, and how should I handle resistance or pushback from other people?
Yeah, those any of those backslides or any of that friction or resistance that you feel, if you're given an opportunity and you're given a choice, and one, choice A is more in alignment with my values, B is less in alignment with my values, but I'm going to choose B. Why would you do that? Well, why you
Hmm.
would do that is because a set of beliefs, a set of expectations, a worry and fear about what the external is going to think about you and judge you based on your decisions. So that's exactly where the coaching comes in. Listen, truthfully, the values exercise, the needs exercise, they're very straightforward. I could put those in an email. You can do those exercises for yourself. The real value in coaching and mentoring and facilitating this type of work is, hey, I keep doing this thing. I know this is the right answer for me, but I keep choosing this instead. Why would I do that? Aha. Why would I do that?
Why do
Why would I
people do
do
that?
things? Yeah, because we have literally gigabytes of beliefs and expectations that we have internalized since childhood. And we think that that's the way we're supposed to be. Well, listen, a trusted source, a very real example from my life. My father was a very complicated man, had a lot of challenges in his life. And one of the messages I received from my mother was, don't be like your father. And that made perfect sense to me in that moment as an 8-year-old, 10-year-old boy. Don't be like your father. Oh, yeah. No, I get it. I see it. Yeah. But that set up a conflict inside of me because my dad was cool. My dad was a good person. My dad had challenges, but he was a good person. So I had this belief that I never even paid attention to, never even really articulated or set out in front of me and really examined it. I just accepted it. When my mother said, don't be like your father, I was like, yeah, I get that. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Yep, 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 yep. But she didn't mean nothing like your father. Don't do anything that your father does. But that's how my simple adolescent brain processed it. So for a really long time, I resisted anything that would resemble what my father would do. But my father had a lot of wonderful qualities. And so it set up this conflict inside of me. And I was living a lie, basically. By trying not to be my father, I wasn't allowing myself to be myself. So until I reconciled that belief, well, wait a minute. What she meant was this. Does it mean that my entire father's existence was wrong and flawed? No, of course not. He made mistakes. I think what she meant was, don't make the mistakes your father made. Oh, okay. So that distinction and that specificity is how you reframe all the hundreds and thousands of beliefs that you're carrying around inside of you.
Hmm. I'm going to put you on the spot here, but we talk a lot about sovereignty and how we try to help men to become what we believe to be sovereign men, right? And we've spoken
Mhm.
about this in the past. Is there a fixed definition about what it means to be a sovereign man?
No, I think there's interpretations of it. And again, this is kind of like a fingerprint in that we all kind of have the same general understanding and belief of what sovereignty is, but it does become very personalized in your own life. At the highest level, when I refer to sovereignty in the framework of what I do, what I'm talking about is a man who knows who he is, knows what he believes in, knows what he stands for, knows what his limitations are, and lives his life accordingly. Independent of external approval or permission, he allows and empowers himself to live that life of being, listen, for better or for worse, this is what I'm doing. I know that some people aren't going to agree with me, but I'm not trying to make everybody on the planet agree with me. I'm trying to live a good life. And this is what I believe a good life and a good person and a good man looks like. And so I'm going to live my life in alignment with that, independent of external advice and suggestions and pushback. And uh, one of the big things that we do as men, especially when I work with, again, nice guys or men who are carrying around a bunch of those beliefs that they need to, get along to get along
Mm-hmm.
and happy wife, happy life, all that kind of stuff. Those men in particular are really seeking approval and permission before they do anything. And that's not sovereignty. That's not a way to live your life, is waiting for other people's approval, waiting for other people's permission, because you'll never get a consensus on that. There'll always be conflicting points of view.
Not waiting for someone's approval doesn't mean that you have to be an asshole, right?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. In fact, the more sovereign you are, the less of an asshole you are. Because listen, I'm not telling you how to live. I'm not going to argue with you and try to change your mind. Thank you very much for your input and your perspective. But I know myself and I'm confident enough in my values and in my identity that this is the right path for me. Thank you very much.
I think
That's
that
not dismissive at all.
having these conversations with you is making me realize something, which is that A sovereign man also has his own values and is capable of recognizing his own values, but he doesn't attack other men for having different values either.
Yeah, yeah. One of the most significant reframes that I share with men is around a word that you've already used once, which is boundaries. Many of us think boundaries it has a negative connotation. That boundaries is about telling other people how to live. Boundaries is like, nope, I'm going to confront you and tell you that that doesn't align with my, no, that's not what boundaries are. What boundaries are boundaries protect your values. Boundaries are the alarm system and the indicator system that something is encroaching on your values. And so then you have to go through, excuse me, a little bit of a decision making process in that moment that says, okay, I need to let this person know that they're encroaching on my values. I need to take some action to protect my values, or I need to remove myself from this situation because of my own values. Right. And so that idea of boundaries isn't aggressive and it's now outwardly facing, it's inwardly facing. Boundaries that we maintain and retain are more important to us. It is more important to us that we maintain our boundaries than it is for us to impose our boundaries on other people. That's not what boundaries are.
Hmm.
Boundaries are, nope, this is my limit. I'm not taking any more crap in this area about this thing because this is what I believe. When you can get that alignment between the conscious and the subconscious, now you have congruency. Now you have confidence and self-esteem because you know what you stand for.
That makes perfect sense. I did mean to ask you, and without going into your own customers' details, you've worked with, and you continue to work with some of the most brilliant minds in the whole country. And I've been meaning to ask you, how does a sovereign man balance his career with his family life? Because one of the messages that I keep seeing in today's society is that if you want to be successful, you gotta pick. It's like you have to pick.
Yeah,
You're
yeah, yeah.
either doing really good with your career or you're doing really good at home, but you can't have both.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing. It's a very quick and early dismissal when I align with a new client, which is I do not believe in this idea of work life balance. I just don't believe in it. I don't go down that path. I don't chase those tactics because that decision of what that ratio or balance looks like to you has already been decided for you through your values and your needs. Okay. So I'll give you an example. I use a very simple emotional needs model, 6 emotional needs. Technically, there's dozens, but oh my gosh, it gets overwhelming and really confusing. So I just stick with 6. Okay. So in this example, I'm going to compare 2 clients, one of whom his top emotional need, like the most powerful emotional need and influence in his life, is love and connection. The other, his most powerful, influential need in his life is contribution. Okay. The client whose emotional need is love and connection, I don't have to give him strategies and techniques on how to spend time with his family. He doesn't have to schedule that. His innate nature says, whenever I have a spare moment, I want to spend it filling this need for love and connection from these people, friends, colleagues, family, doesn't matter. I want to connect with people. I don't have to teach that. And in fact, I don't teach that. The
Mm-hmm.
other client who's contribution driven, the partner that he's married to and he met them as a contributor. So
Mm-hmm.
that person who married him knew who he was at the time. He's a contributor. And it may look from the outside that that person is putting his career first. What he's doing is he's fulfilling his emotional needs. We all do it. We all do it. Whether you're conscious of it or not is the real game changer. Because if you are not conscious of what emotional need you're trying to fulfill, then you're just along for the ride and your
Mm-hmm.
subconscious is making your decisions for you. So the idea of can you have it both? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I have both. How I do it though is I recognize that both for me is not 50-50. both for me is 75% contribution, 25% love and connection, because that's just how my emotional needs profile was set up. And there's an argument of nature and nurture and all that kind of
Mm-hmm.
stuff. But truthfully, most of the work I do with men around emotional needs is about empowering them and allowing them to acknowledge and recognize, yeah, man, I'm not love and connection driven. I don't want to just sit around in the backyard with my family all the time. That just doesn't feel like productive time. I'd rather we went and did this thing. We were talking
Mm-hmm.
about vacation,
Yeah.
right? How you spend your vacations, what really fulfills you. If you daydream about your ideal perfect vacation, that's a really good insight into what your emotional need profile is.
Yeah, that's funny because let's actually disclose this. Before we started recording, we were talking about what our ideal vacation looks like, or what our non ideal vacation looked like, to be more specific,
Right,
right? We were
right,
both in
right,
alignment that, hey, if we take a week off of work, we cannot just be fooling around in the sofa all day just watching Netflix because
right.
that's just not who we are. But what's funny and interesting to me, Charles, is that if I do think about what my ideal vacation looks like, it's probably fooling around on a cruise through the Bahamas or alongside the
Right, right.
Mediterranean coast. But it's at the very least, I'm going somewhere with my loved ones or friends or something. I'm actually
Mm-hmm,
doing something.
mm-hmm.
It's an activity that I'm embarking myself on, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, yeah. Well, because you are love and connection and growth and knowledge driven.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to be with your people,
Mm-hmm.
whoever they should be, and you want to go experience things.
Right.
Those are both indicators of love and connection and growth and knowledge. I want to go somewhere. I want to experience something. I want to
Mm-hmm.
grow.
Yeah. So I the next thing that I want us to touch on is something that I don't think we've digged deeper into in the past, which is role models. But not just role models that we see growing up, role models that we get exposed to today,
Yeah.
especially on here. We as man, we are living. I mean, it doesn't really matter how old you are. We're all being exposed to different types of role models, right?
Right.
Whether you're on Twitter or Instagram or TikTok or wherever you're hanging out, you are looking at all types of different men, and chances are that you kind of connect to a particular type of men, right? You can either follow people that
Yes.
are, angry men that are telling you that you gotta be an alpha and you gotta hit the gym at 4 a.m. or quite the opposite, right? You are following men that are telling you that, hey, you can just chill, be a laid back man, be a laid back person. Don't worry about things. You don't have to be in control of your life. Just go with the flow. Charles, how do we find sovereign men online that we can follow? Is there a way to trick algorithms or to tell algorithms to tell us, hey, this is the particular type of men that I want to follow? I'm having a hard time finding sovereign men online.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because it's a catch 22 because sovereign men aren't chasing likes and followers and dictating to the world. I mean, you kind of give me a hard time all the time out of love that I am not making enough of a presence online, and it's because it's counterintuitive to me. That's not how my brain works, right? So it is a weird little double sided coin there, which is I'm looking for sovereign men, but sovereign men aren't online because they're doing the things. But let's go back. I want to go back even further because the men with whom you resonate and identify, and then the algorithm gives you a bunch more men like that. There are clues there as to why does this man make sense to me and this man doesn't make sense to me. And the answer is they are espousing some of your core beliefs, values, and emotional needs. If there's a conflict inside of you, I wish I wasn't like this. I wish I was like this. That's how we have role models. That's what role models are purposely made for. And why our brain looks to those aspirational role models. I want to be more like that. Let me just do what he does and I'll be more like that. The problem with that is that rationale doesn't work out because you're not him. You do not have the exact same values and the exact same emotional needs profile. So, in trying to be like him because of this one characteristic of his that you wish you had more of, right? Oh, I wish I had more discipline. I wish I could get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and work out. Are you sure? Are you sure you really want to win that prize? Be careful. Be careful what contests you enter, because you're going to win prizes that you don't really want.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of other factors to that. But when you're out seeking and you resonate with this voice, but you don't resonate with that voice, that's a clue that you're looking for something that they have that you yourself can't identify within yourself yet.
That's a fair point. That is a fair point. I think. Okay, but to be honest, I still think we haven't answered the question, which is, how do we find? I mean,
Yeah.
if
Okay.
Charles Brown isn't going to be on socials because he has a hard time getting on socials, how do we expose more men to sovereign men? I think this is a problem, Charles.
Yeah, yeah. We got to get the message out there that there's a third choice for sure, and that's what we're doing. There's a third option, and it's not those extremes. And unfortunately, the algorithm responds to those extremes because it gets a lot of clicks, either out of love or out of hate. It gets a lot of clicks, and then the algorithm says, "Oh, this must be what they want." We know how that works now, right? To find sovereign men, though, what really it comes down to, again, it's an inside out thing, and it is intentionality, and it's us being able to sort and filter what we're listening to and what matters to us. I don't have a problem with this when I'm on social media scrolling around looking at things, because I can very quickly dismiss, oh, that's not the kind of message I need to hear. That's not the kind of message I need to hear. Ooh, this is a good message. Let me listen to this. Let me listen to this rationale. One of the reasons that I think part of the reason that Joe Rogan got so popular is because those long form interviews actually give people an opportunity to have a conversation, understand the context, provide supporting documentation and arguments and positions and case studies. And it gives us humans an opportunity to really think something through. Everything else is just sound bites. It's out of context. I laugh all the time. I actually feel sorry for a lot of politicians and a lot of coaches, not life and business coaches, but sports coaches, because it doesn't matter what you ask them. They have a soundbite and a bullet, and they've got 4 seconds to spit it out, and then they are off camera, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it's a disservice. It's a disservice to that politician to say, well, it's not a yes or no answer. Actually, it depends. Okay, well, we're out of time. It's like, oh, he didn't answer it, right? Oh, what the and asking a coach, as he's trying to walk off the field, well, so hey, you're down 42-0 at halftime. What do you need to do in the second half? I need a score. Like, what kind of question is that? This is right. But if you're working toward sovereignty, there isn't really a strategy or a technique that you need to employ. You're going to recognize it. Again, sovereignty is the outcome. It's the result of all this work. It's not necessarily it is a goal, but it's not the goal. Like, I'm going to do this until I achieve sovereignty and then I'm done. No, no, no. It's more of that's the outcome. We've had this conversation around self-esteem and confidence. You could go buy 1,000 books on confidence, and they're not going to solve the problem for you, because they're not going to remove that thorn in your psyche that is preventing you from feeling confident. It's all bolster. It's all masks. It's all, well, try this technique and try this technique and try this technique. It's not addressing the root cause. Sovereignty is about addressing those root causes. What is preventing me from being my authentic self? What is preventing me from having confidence in myself to say, this is the right answer for me? When you can feel that, yeah, your algorithm is 100%, it's going to change. Because instead of it being, let me absorb, let me digest, let me take in, you're more intentional, and you're like, what am I looking for? What do I want to hear? What's the answer I'm seeking? And so you're looking for that specific answer.
You have touched on something really important, which is that we are heavily trying to get that third unspoken path that men can embark on out there. So I think that we should probably define what it means to be masculine. What does authentic masculinity look like for you, Charles?
Oh, soundbite time. Um, honestly, what I have always said for myself and what I've shared with men who ask that same question is, to me, masculinity is consistency of character. And that comes from understanding what the feminine seeks from us. What the feminine seeks, the feminine side of your son, the feminine side of your daughters, the feminine side of your wife, partner, whom it doesn't matter. We all have masculine and feminine sides, right? Okay. What the feminine seeks is safety and security. That's what the feminine seeks. And when you're talking about emotional safety and security, the key word in providing emotional safety and security to the feminine is consistency. Consistency. We've talked about this in kind of leadership context before.
Uh-huh.
I would rather have a boss who was a little bit of a dick, but he was always that dick, rather than having a boss or a leader who's on a good day and a bad day and a good day and a bad day and a good day and a good day and a
That
good day and a
leads
bad day
to
and a bad day and a
fear
bad day.
because you don't know if you're
You
going to have a good
cannot
day or a
trust
bad
them.
day.
Yep,
Right.
because you cannot trust. And if you cannot trust, you do not feel safe and secure. So if you want to provide a masculine presence, personally, professionally, doesn't matter. It's about consistency of character. The feminine recognizes that congruency from inside to out. His words match his actions, his mood matches his words. Like, okay, I can trust this person. I feel safe with this person. I will follow this person. That's what the masculine needs to provide. So for me, how do you represent it? How do you demonstrate it? Inside out. Know who you are. Be that person all the time, for better or for worse. This is who I am. And I promise you, the feminine will respond to that. That, to me, has always been what masculinity is: consistency of character, congruency from inside to out. You can trust me.
It's gold. I mean, what you just outlined is gold. Um, so to wrap it up, Charles, if I were to begin coaching with you, what would the first couple of sessions look like, and what should I expect to work on first? I think you've outlined, exercise values, all of that, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So there's got to be a compelling problem. You can't come to coaching with a skeptical mindset of, I'll try this out and you see if you can impress me. You see if I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to be a closed book. I'm going to be standoffish, and I'm going to test how smart you are. Don't waste my time. This isn't a contest. So you have to be in a place where you recognize, man, there's stuff in my life that just is not working. I've tried several things. There's still a conflict. There's still this missing piece. I just, something feels off. I don't like it. I really want this to change, because that draws your focus and your attention and your curiosity. And that is something we can build on. So first and foremost, the discovery call is always, hey man, what's going on in your life? Why did you reach out? What are you hoping to achieve? What are you trying to
What
work on?
what is your $1 million problem?
What is the $1 million problem that's costing you time, energy, serenity, peace? What is that thing? Okay, let me think about that for a second, and then I have to ask questions to really scope that out and get a clear understanding. It doesn't have to be perfect, but we have to understand what it is in your life that's really causing you the pain, and that's before you even engage, right? That's like me having to vet, can I help this person? And then it is inside out. Okay, we talked about what that problem is. We're going to get to it. Oh, but Charles, give me some kind of strategy. Give me a technique. Give me a script. Nope, nope, nope. Nothing I can give you is going to work unless it's in alignment with your true identity. All my work starts with identity. I can't help you if I don't know who you really, 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 really are. So those first 30 days are really about identity. We talk about all kinds of stuff, but truthfully, it's all in an attempt to take off those masks and peel back those layers and retire all those adopted identities so that I can work with one person, one persona, one identity. Okay, now we can start building a decision-making matrix and process around that. How can I be just this guy? What do I have to do in my personal life, my professional life, anywhere to be this person 24/7, 365 to the best of my ability? I live in the real world like everybody else. Sometimes we have to put on a mask. And sometimes I have to clean up my language, right? Because of the audience that I'm in. I'm not an idiot, but I make that choice.
And you're aware that you're making that choice as well.
Right.
This was absolutely phenomenal. Hopefully people find it as useful as I have. And yeah, man, just appreciate your time once again.
Always. Thank you, Tony.